Hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Another customer service video for T-Mobile. I am a T-Mobile subscriber. Have been for like 8, 9, 10 years, something like that. I don't remember. It's been so long. Not as long as I was an AT&T subscriber, but that's only because of the original iPhone, but iPhone fell by the wayside, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter. And yes, before you think about it and ask and put in the comments below, yes, I'm driving, but I'm driving a Volkswagen ID4 with what I like to call autopilot. So before you start putting your little yes, but my hand is on the wheel and it keeps me in the lane and it keeps me far enough and keep it I call it autopilot. It's not level 3 driving. I'd call it level 2.5 driving. It's much nicer because it does all the things. So, with that out of the way, I wanted to say, T-Mobile, what are you doing? You don't... you train all of your people to be like this, and then now you're going to AI? Stop it. Just stop it. I love you, T-Mobile, as far as a cell phone carrier. One, because I have a high disdain for AT&T. I don't love this. Love was a really strong word. Sorry. My favorite cell phone carrier is T-Mobile, mainly because don't like Verizon, never have. I was an AT&T customer for a very long time because of the iPhone, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, out of everything, I ended up with T-Mobile, and T-Mobile has been on the forefront, in my opinion, IMHO, the forefront when it comes to technology. Speaking, when it comes to 5G, they beat everybody because everyone else went, especially Verizon, they're like, oh, we've got 5G, I forget what they call it now. It's not short range, but it's like, oh, if you can stand in front of a tower and you can look at it and you can see it, we will give you gig service with 5G. NR, I think is what they call it. I forget. Anyway, but it's like, well, that's great for if you're in the city and you can see it and it's right there, or you're, near it in the country or whatever, fine. But then you got outside of that and it was just horrible because they used the 4G LTE backhaul and then you just fell back off and it was like, and then even worse, if you fell off, it went to 3G and it's like, no. AT&T kind of did the same thing, but they first started with what I like to call 5GE. Because it was so funny back when I had friends of mine who first started this, they were like, oh, it's 5G. And it's like, no, it's 5GE, which is the same BS that AT&T pulled back with 4G when they had 4G. I have a whole article on this on my iknowrusty.com website. Plug. Anyway, they did this whole faux 5G thing, and it wasn't actually 5G. They just labeled it 5G on your phone, yada, yada, yada. Doesn't matter. But T-Mobile said, you know what? AT&T went with the high, and Verizon went with the high. T-Mobile said, no, we're going to do all three. They did a high level so that they could get the exact same thing that AT&T had, but they also bought all this other extra spectrum, specifically the 600 megahertz, to get the mid-band. That way, if you weren't near a tower, you could still have a pretty good signal if you were within range in the 600 megahertz thing. Because they won a whole lot of that back in the day when the 600 megahertz auction went up. Technical stuff, don't worry about it. But anyway, they did the mid-range or mid-band, and then they did the low band for further distance. I think it's 2.5, 2.4, or something like that. I forget. Don't quote me on that. It's just coming from the brain. I don't have it written. It's not a script. I'm not a scripted guy. So, but my point is they did high, mid, and low to cover everybody for all the things, for better reception, so that everyone could get 5G in some flavor, whether it was extra large, or medium. Whatever size you wanted, they got it. But anyway, also now, T-Mobile, years ago, if you saw this, they started with Starlink. And so they were like, hey, we're going to bring satellite service. Unfortunately, iPhone beat them to it with the SOS thing, but I think T-Mobile did a better spread of it. More messaging, this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. More coverage because of Starlink. And I forget off the top of my head which one. I want to say GlowStat, Glovanav, NavGlove, something. Don't quote me on this again. Coming straight from the, not from, but AT&T or not AT&T, Apple went with a different provider for their satellite stuff, and T-Mobile went with Starlink. Starlink's been around a little bit longer, better coverage, yada, yada, yada. So they've been on the forefront when it comes to satellite coverage, because you can go out in the middle of nowhere and still get at least a text out. I'm hearing that the iPhone 18 will be able to do a lot more with satellites. I'm sure T-Mobile's already beating them with the partnership with Starlink. Doesn't matter, neither here nor there, whatever. But I've always stuck with T-Mobile. So, back in the day, I actually did a tweet about my area where I lived. I was like, T-Mobile, you suck out here, da-da-da-da. Within like a year, I don't say it's me, but it just seemed to coincide that after my tweet, and this was back when John Legere, either way, was the CEO, and they would actually fix things. In a high level, I think. Again, don't quote me on this, but within about a year, my area got boom better, and it was mainly because they brought Sprint, and the tower that was behind my neighborhood was a Sprint tower. So they, over the time, blah 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 blah, got better. Over time, almost everything gets typically better. Not all the time, but for the most part, when it comes to technology, I know you can say, well, my blah 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 is better than the one that I get now. Absolutely, but technically, in a generality, things get better. So don't be. Anyway, that aside, T-Mobile recently, these people, I called and said, hey, because they've been doing a lot of deals, and one great thing they've been doing is, and they kind of kicked this off a couple years ago, was if we have a deal for new subscribers, we also have that same deal for our current subscribers. Whereas it used to be, all carriers did this. It was like, hey, if you're a new customer, we'll give you the best deal ever. And it's like, well, that's great. What are you doing to maintain your customers that you have already? You're not giving them the deal. Great, we get to upgrade our phones every 2 years or 3 years, whatever it might be. That's normal. Well, T-Mobile was one of the first, I think actually the first, to go, you know what? Whatever our new customers get, our old customers get, within, reasonable levels from a business standpoint. So, we started getting things. Cool, great, awesome. So one of the things that they just recently had was, hey, we're going to give you better prices, this, that, and the other. And it's a 5-year guarantee. If you see any of the latest T-Mobile stuff, and you can see, that they're doing the 5-year guarantee, and they have different levels. The experience most, experience beyond, experience more, things like that. I forget, again, don't quote me. You can put it down in the comments below. Don't care. But they had one between the plan that I was on, and I'll get to that here in a second. But the plan that I was on was basically $170 for 2 lines and all these extra features, yada, yada, yada. Basically, Hulu on us, Apple TV on us, whatever, T-Mobile satellite on us, because you're paying an exorbitant amount of money for 2 lines. I know, because I heard some of you, when I said 170 for 2 lines, you were like, what? And it's like, well, because unlimited data, not really capped, even though it is still capped, but it's capped at like 70 gigs. And who's using 70 gigs on their phone in a month? If you are, you're insane. I'm sorry, as an IT guy, why are you doing 70 gigs on your phone? You should be at home on wireless. Neither here nor there. But it's like 170 for those 2 lines with all the things. And I called and I said, hey, I see you have this new deal, yada, yada, yada. And also I work for, and they have deals where, hey, if you work for them, we'll give you a discount, yada, yada, yada. Well, come to find out, my discount was not enough to be for the deals that I was getting, because last year I brought my mother on, and my mother is beyond their senior price thing, and don't tell her I said that, but basically it's like, if you're over a certain age, you get the senior discount, and she's not a senior. Again, I'm just saying, that's the thing. She met the requirement. We did that. So anyway, she got that. But I'm always looking at ways to save money. So I was like, hey guys, I see that, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, you can't do that because blah, blah, blah. And if you do this, you do that, yada, yada, yada. All right, fine. We'll stay on it. A few weeks later, I saw another one come out, yada, yada, yada. And they were like, this. And I was like, So I called the guy, and he was like, yeah, we can do something for you. He goes, I can take $50 off your bill. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. What is it? And he's like, we'll do this, we'll do this. He says, you'll lose the Hulu, you'll lose a few features here and there, but for pretty much it's about the same this for that. You know, you're not really losing a lot. And I was like, now, mind you, we're also doing the, you know, turn your phone in, get $1,000. So don't do that, because right now, like for my mother, she gets the iPhone 17 Pro Max basically for $4 and some change a month, because that $1,000 thing, and so she only pays $4 and some change a month for the phone, of course, service, but neither here nor there. I was like, because I know every time they change the plan, they always, well, when you change plans, you lose the, and it's like, don't mess with the, anyway. So this guy explains to me, he's like, no, I got it, we're going to do it, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and it's all going to be the same. So I wait the month, because he told me we'll do it next month, I'll set it, we'll change it, we'll do all this. I get the bill, it's almost to the dollar, the same amount. I said, he didn't save me any money. What happened? So I open the bill. He saved money by dropping our mainline thing, the account, from 170 to 120. Great. Saved me $50. Perfect. Sounds awesome. I lost my T-Mobile satellite. I lost the Hulu. Whatever. Don't care. Not, you know, I'm usually not in a place that I need the satellite. I don't live in Utah, Nevada, Montana, North Carolina if you're over here in the South, because I know North Carolina has some really, there's a big spot right after you leave Knoxville. You ain't getting cell phone service no matter who you are. I don't care. I've been there. I think Verizon's the only one that's allowed, and even there it's just spotty because you're in the hills of North Carolina. Doesn't matter. Not my point. But the overall idea is, you know, I personally don't really need it. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. But like I said, I was like, okay, he saved me $50. Let me give you the asterisks that he gave me. So what happened was he gave me the $50, and then basically, so this watch, my car, my tablet, which you can't see right now, all were $5 a line. And that's great because, one, the watch, as you can tell, doesn't have a big interface and therefore doesn't have a lot of things to do. It's usually Bluetooth to my phone and we're good to go. So there's not a lot of data being used. And my car, also, I don't turn on the Wi-Fi hotspot. I only use the tracking feature so I know when my car leaves. I know where it's at. I know what happens. I can track my car down. Also, because I pay the $5 a month, I get AAA service through T-Mobile. If I'm ever in a place that I need to be towed, pulled out, I can go, hey, T-Mobile. I get like 3 of these a year. I think 3, 4, maybe something like that. It's something like that. But you pay $5 a month, so $60 a year to have this service. I'm like, great, cool. And then my tablet, usually I get at home on wireless. Doesn't matter, whatever. Neither here nor there. So I'm like, cool. That's when I was paying $170. What happened was he moved that $50 down to my tablet, watch, and car. He's charging me $17 now for the watch. $45 for the tablet that sits at home on wireless that never uses a bit of data. $45 for what? No, you didn't save me any money. You rearranged the numbers to make it look good for you. Stop it. That's not helping the customer. I need you to think through the process of what you're doing as a customer service rep. And I know it probably came from training due to the way that T-Mobile trained you. So T-Mobile, that is not saving the customer money by any way, shape, form, or fashion. That is, and is this guy, I don't know if you heard that or not, this loud motorcycle with dark roots Chattanooga on his back like he's a... That was what just passed me. Neither here nor there. Sorry, squirrel. Anyway, but yeah, that's not saving me money if all you do is rearrange numbers and put them somewhere else. My bill was still the same. That's not saving me money. T-Mobile, what are you doing? What are you doing? If you want to retain customers and not have people start jumping to other places like, I don't know, your sub ones, which are, I can't remember the purple one, Metro PCS, or no, not Metro PCS, Metro by T-Mobile, Mint Mobile, Google, I can't remember Google's all of a sudden. Whatever Google's is, I want to say, the phone is the Pixel. I can't remember the service. Anyway, neither here nor there. But they're all a MVNO of T-Mobile, which all your other carriers are all the same thing. Boost Mobile, Cricket, insert all your other ones that you're typing below in the comments about the fact that, yeah, they're all MVNOs. Google Fi, why? I don't know. I just completely forgot all of it, but it's Google Fi is what I was thinking about. But all of those are MVNOs. The big three are the big three: Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Sprint was bought out years ago, so there's just the big three. But neither here nor there, but the big three. So it just boggles my mind, and especially because I just saw an announcement the other day that Metro by T-Mobile, or Mint, I think it was Metro just announced that they're taking their caps off their high-end customers. So they used to have a fairly large cap, and I think they're getting now the same 70 gig cap that regular T-Mobile customers get. So it's prepaid versus postpaid, yada, yada, yada. That's the big difference between the MVNOs, because prepaid, you're paying for it ahead of time. That way they know they're going to get their money before they let you on the network, whereas I am a postpaid customer. They're charging me for what I've used in the previous 30 days. They know that we're going to pay it, yada, yada, yada. That's why with most prepaid customers, MVNOs, Boost, all those, you can have what you have because you're paying your bill up front. If you don't, you run out of data or minutes or whatever. Ooh, did I just say minutes? Wow. Is it 1996 again? Anyway, neither here nor there. But T-Mobile, seriously, fix it. Come on. Really? That's not how you train your customers. That is insane. Stop it. And I'm changing lanes without a blinker. I need to put my blinker on. Sorry. I can't stand that. That drives me insane when people don't change lanes without using the blinker. But that aside, T-Mobile, that is not how you serve your customers. Anyway, this was a lot longer than I was expecting. So I hope you have a great weekend. And Mother's Day is coming up. Tell your mom you love her and give her a hug. Or here, I'll give her a hug. Hi. Hi, Mom. Hug. Hope you have a great one. See ya. Bye.